So hi all, welcome to this video lecture. In this video lecture we will see how do we pass arguments from our command line interface to Python script. This is very helpful in projects where we want to go ahead and give some arguments, some input to our Python script, but that is not going to be an input from within the Python script. This is going to be an input from our command line interface, and this is very helpful in automation in projects where we have to go ahead and connect. Let's say for example we want to go ahead and connect Power BI. We want to pass information from Power BI as an input, and we want to go ahead and pass that input information into our Python script. So if we want to go ahead and perform certain actions like this, then we definitely go ahead, we need help of the DOS commands, right, of the command line interface, and we can use this CLI automation, right, to go ahead and pass the arguments as input to Python script. So let us see how we can go ahead and how we can do that. So the way how we can go ahead and do that is by using a module which we will learn here. It's called as the argparse module, right? So let us just go ahead and let's import the argparse, ARGE. This is the argparse module, okay? And for this particular demo we will also let's import the request module, let's import the JSON module, okay, and let us also import pandas as PD. Okay, now for us to go ahead and use argparse, right, what argparse will do, it is going to go ahead and help us create it has methods which will help us to go ahead and create arguments. Okay, so let us for that, first let's go ahead and let's create an object. We will call that object as parser, and parser is going to be equal to argparse dot argument parser. Okay, and now once this parser object has been created, we can add certain arguments within this parser, right? So to add the object, to add the arguments, we are going to go ahead and say parser dot add argument. Okay, and within this we need to provide the name of the flag. Okay, so there are two ways of doing it. Okay, I will show you both the ways. The first way is to give a double dash, okay, and then give the name of the particular flag. Okay, so for example I want to go ahead and I want to pass the URL name as the argument, because I want to go ahead and fetch the details from that particular URL and I want to store it in some kind of file, right? So I want to pass that URL as an argument, so I will say dash dash URL. Okay, so this is going to be the name of the flag, comma, help equals to, it will provide a description like what exactly it will do. So I will say please add the URL. Okay, this is going to be the URL, this is going to be the argument for the URL, right? I will again say parser dot add argument, and here I will go ahead and I will pass in the file name. Okay, so I want to go ahead and store it in the file, so I want the user to provide the file name. So help is equals to, I will say enter file name. Okay, now after this, after I have created these two arguments, right, what I want to do, I want to parse these arguments. So I will say args is equals to parser dot parse args. Okay, now what is happening is parser object is created using the argument parser. We have added the arguments within the parser. Now whenever we will go ahead and we will give the provide the input arguments into our command line interface, right, what will happen, that the values are going to be added in the parser inside this args, right? And now we are going to use the args to go ahead and get to these values, right? So how we will go ahead and do that, you see URL is stored within the args as well as the file name is also stored within the args. Okay, so I will say that if my args dot URL. That means if the user has passed in the URL value, if it is not none, basically if the input URL is some value, right, then what I want is data is equals to, I will use the requests and I will get that particular data from this URL that the user has passed from the command line interface. Okay, and then I will do data underscore dict is equals to here what I will do, I will just create a data frame. Okay, and within this data frame I will this will accept a dictionary, so I will use the JSON module json.loads to convert it into a dictionary. Basically I have already covered the request module and the JSON module in depth. Okay, so you can go ahead and you can watch the video, the link is at the top. Okay, so json.loads, and within this I will pass in the text value, so I will say data that is coming from the request dot text. Okay, and after this what I will do, I will go ahead and convert this into a CSV file and store it here only, right? So I will say data underscore dict dot to underscore CSV, and within this, okay, within this what I will say that since I have passed in the file name over here, right, so I will say args dot file name. Okay, args dot file name, and here I will add the extension .csv. Okay, I don't want the user to enter the extension, it will by default be CSV. As a matter of fact, in the description I will just say enter CSV file name. Okay, and what I will do over here, okay, I will only give the name as the file name if that file name has been provided by the user. So I will say if args dot file name is not none, else by default I will give it as outputs dot CSV. Okay, and here I will go ahead and I will keep index is equals to false. So after I have done this, so what is going to happen, it is going to first check if the URL is none or not. If it is not null, right, then it will go ahead, it will fetch the data, it will convert it into a data frame, it will convert it into a CSV, and the file name that we will take, it is going to be passed, it is going to take the file name from the user. If the user has not provided any file name, that means it is an optional argument. Basically both of them, they are optional arguments. So the double dash that we are referring to over here, it means that the argument becomes optional in nature. Okay, so if both the arguments, if the file name is not provided in this particular case, then what will happen, by default outputs.csv will be the one which will be the name of the file which will be created. Okay, and after this what will happen, after this I will simply go ahead and say else print no URL passed. Okay, if the URL is not present. Okay, so this is the code. Now I will go ahead and I will open CMD, and within the CMD, in order for us to run this, we need to go ahead and enter the same location as the new folder. So I will say cd, and then I will say desktop, and I will say new folder, obviously with a space. Okay, now that we are in the folder, we need to go ahead and call this particular script. So I will say python CLI automation .py, and over here, right, we need to go ahead and pass in the arguments, right, the URL and the file name. So the way how we will pass the argument is it should be written in the same way how we are passing it over here, right? So it should be double dash only. Okay, so I will say dash dash URL. Okay, and here you need to pass this URL. So I have pasted this URL over here, so copy and pasting it over here. This should be in double quotes. Okay, this should be in double quotes, and after that I will say dash dash file name, and file name, let's say I will give it as lead code. Let's say once I hit on enter, you will see that a file named leetcode.csv gets created, right? And the data which is present within the leetcode.csv, it is coming from this particular API that we are calling, that we are fetching through the request module, right? This is the data that is created, right? Now obviously this is something that we have done it directly through the command line interface, that is the command prompt. But now let us go ahead and let us see how we can go ahead and use it in Power Automate, right? So I've already created this particular automation over here. Okay, so this is the run DOS command, okay, which an action that I have used within the Power Automate desktop. Okay, and if you go ahead and open this, you will just see that this is the particular argument that I have used over here, right? So generally what happens, right, in actual case, your Power BI, let's say you are working in Power BI, okay, and you have certain data in Power BI, okay, and what you want to do, you want to go ahead and pass certain information from your Power BI to your Python script. So Python script is directly not, there are already 3 ways that I have already, I have already covered a video lecture on that. You can also watch that video, the link is at the top. In that particular video I have showed you 3 different ways on how we can use Python script within Power BI. The most important step was, the most advanced step was to go ahead and use it through Power Automate. Okay, so the general trend is that the Power Automate cloud is connected to Power BI desktop, and the Power Automate desktop is connected to Power Automate cloud. Okay, and within the Power Automate desktop we can call the Python script, right? So now that we have learned how we can go ahead and pass in arguments within the Python script, we can pass in the input parameters, the input arguments that will be coming from our Power Automate desktop, our Power Automate cloud, that is going to be coming from Power BI desktop. Okay, and that input argument we can go ahead and we can pass it here. Okay, so if you look at this Power Automate desktop, right, we have this input/output variable section. So this input output variable section, I have created URI input. If I double click on it, you will just see, and this is the value of this particular URL that I have provided. Okay, now this is just a URL that I have taken for this particular demo, but in reality it can be any data. Okay, and this data is going to come as an input from the Power Automate cloud, right, which is again going to be coming as an input from Power BI desktop. Okay, that information over here I have used it as a variable, if you can just see within the command line interface, right, in this run DOS command. Now if I go ahead and if I run this, right, it will go ahead and execute this Python file, because I have already mentioned the name of the Python file over here, CLI Okay, the same exactly the same thing, and the same argument that I have passed over here. Okay, the only difference is that this is now replaced with a variable, okay, that is coming from this input output variable section. Okay, and if I run this, it will just do the same thing as I have done it right now. Okay, so let me go ahead and let me delete this one, and I will go ahead and I will run it again. And you can just see that once I run it, that file gets created here. Okay, and by using this particular action of Power Automate desktop, read from the CSV file, I'm reading it from the same location of leetcode.csv. If I open this variable, you will just go ahead and see that the data is now in this table format. Okay, and one can do a lot of actions in this particular Power Automate desktop, and then again it can, create some modified CSV table or something. Okay, and that we can again reuse it within Power BI desktop or any other application. Okay, so this was one practical implementation of how we can actually use this in a practical case, okay, in a real case. Okay, now let's go ahead and let us explore some other functionality within this argparse. Okay, so within this argparse, right, we can also create groups within this argument, right? So here we are passing in the URL and the file name, but I want that I need to only pass I don't need to, I don't want to pass any other argument, right? I want to pass certain set of arguments. Okay, a particular, I want to choose from that particular group of arguments, right? In that particular case, I will go ahead and I will create a group in that case, okay, group of arguments, and from that group only I need to select only one of them. Okay, so in that particular case, in order to create a group of argument, you need to first, let us create a variable that is group, and let us say group equals to, and I will say parser dot add mutually exclusive group. Okay, and now this has created a group function over here. This has created a group, and within this group now I will be adding arguments. Okay, and within these arguments, let us now go ahead and let us pass, let's say I will say head 15. Okay, head 15, and help will be equals to, let us say top 15 values from data. Okay, and I will again pass one more group dot add underscore argument, and here I will pass in, let's say head 20, and here I will say help is equals to top 20 values in data. Okay, and after this, right, what I will say over here, I will give an if condition that if my args dot head 15, then I will print, that means if somebody has given this head 15 value, okay, has chosen this head 15, okay, then I will just simply say data underscore dict dot head. It will just simply print the top 15 values. Elif args dot head 20, and it will print the data underscore dict dot head, the top 20 values. Okay, now let me go ahead and let me save this. After I save this, right, I will go ahead and I will copy exactly the same thing as top, but here now what I will do, I will just simply go ahead and I will simply pass in dash dash head 15. Okay, once I pass in the dash dash head 15, right, and once I hit on enter, I will get an error message. Okay, but when I get an error message, I will also get a user manual, right? A user manual in the sense how I am supposed to go ahead and use this particular argument. If I hit on enter, you will just see I got this error, right? But at the top I got this usage message that I should be using it in this format. So you see within this third bracket, right, I have got this straight line symbol and OR operator like symbol over here, right? This is nothing but this is telling us that we should be either using this head 15 value or the head 20 value. If anything apart from these two you will use, then you will get an error just like this one. In this case I have not passed any argument, that's why it has given me this error, right? But now I know what I need to pass. I need to pass the head 15 over here. So I will, if I pass in the head 15, okay, and if I hit on enter, you will just see that the top 15 values have now been printed. If I go ahead and if I pass the head 20, you will see that the top 20 values will be printed. Why it is okay, this is head 15. Oh, so sorry. I passed in dash dash head 15 only, that's why. This should be head 20 and then I should be using it as head 20. And once I use this, you will just see that top 20 values have been printed. Okay, but let us say that apart from this, let's say if I use head 30, which I have not actually added in the group as an argument, right? And let's say I will pass any value, let's say capital head 30. You see that this will give me an error, unrecognized arguments, and it will again throw this usage instruction over here, right? So this is the function of the group argument. It will only go ahead and allow you to pass an argument which lies within this group, else it will throw an error. Okay, so there are many things within the argparse. Okay, you can go ahead and you can do your own research, but the whole purpose of this particular video was to give you an idea on how you can actually pass arguments from the command line interface, okay, into the into the Python script, so that you can use that idea, this concept, in real life projects. Okay, this is a very important concept, and I hope I have been able to go ahead and give you certain clarity on this. If you did, then please don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel, and please don't forget to press the bell icon for notification. Thank you.